Morning, guys, girls. Just going to do a quick story. Well, it might not be quick, just a little story today. Um, the story today is it's about when I tried to escape from police custody on a day out to do clear ups, and I'll explain what that's all about in a minute. I tried to escape from police custody on a day out from Highdown Prison to do crime clear ups, and But first of all, I just want to give a couple of shouts that I've been meaning to do for ages. I just want to say hi to Lee and shout to his sister Carol Wilson. Hope you're well, Carol. Good stuff. And also, I just want to say hi to Ray Hill. Yeah, Ray, I've been watching your channel for about a year now. Love the old stories, especially the ones from the 70s and 80s. When I was a little kid, I do love Ray's channel. Good stuff, Ray Hill. And also I just want to give a shout to Spencer, my mate Spencer from Roundshaw. Proper firm that was, the Roundshaw, back in the day. And Spencer there, he was one of the good boxers around that area, around Sutton, Carshalton, Wallington, Croydon. He didn't turn professional for his own reasons, but I was speaking to him yesterday, and he runs a really good catering business. If anyone likes Spanish food and mixed with English, it's called Spanglish. I'm sure you can Google that, guys, Spanglish, and they cater for all over London, South London, North London, all over Surrey, Hampshire. So maybe you could check that out, guys. And if you're watching Spencer, good stuff, mate. And also, back from the holidays, enjoyed Malta. It was good. My hands, as you can see, they're a lot better. I think with me, it's the flying that maybe makes my hands swell up. I don't usually like to fly for more than 2 hours, and Malta, it's only usually like a 2 hour flight, but I was delayed, so my flight was like 4.5 hours I was on the plane, so that's possibly why my oedema was bad. Oedema, as you know, is, or if you don't know, is water retention, and I used to get that really bad when I was using drugs, because obviously when you're using heroin, crack, your body is dehydrated. Also, you don't feel the pain, and that's why you don't go to the toilet so much when you're on those sort of drugs, and also when you're doing that all the time, you're going to have problems in later life. Always think about that stuff, guys, before you decide to use drugs. And also, I've been trying for ages to get comfortable this morning. I've got bad back pain, probably from sitting about. I mean, I did have a few motorcycle accidents when I was younger, because I used to do that for a living, doing as a courier on my motorbike. But I got knocked off once and hurt my back about 15 years ago, and it's never been the same since. But I do smoke a little bit of green to help out with that. I was in Malta smoking a bit of medical marijuana out there, very clean, very nice. But the shame is, in England, the stuff I've been smoking here, it does tend to give me a bit of a bad chest. So maybe I'm thinking about getting on a prescription for medical marijuana. But the only problem with that is, to get that, they don't prescribe if you've had problems with addiction. So, and that's on my medical history. So, I'd rather not be smoking tobacco with it, and maybe get a vaporizer. Maybe I could try that out. But the THC in marijuana, it does help me with back pain, and it makes it easier for me to exercise. I haven't been on the bag recently because I don't know if you can see that. There's my finger from the burn, but it's a lot better. It's healing up. That was a pretty bad burn. That's like a couple of weeks now. But that's healing nicely. Should be better soon. So hopefully I can get back on the bag next week and start some more keep fit stuff, guys. As I was just saying there about keep fit in the bag. My mate Spencer, he was really good. I remember him. Because Joe Allen boxing, this American kid, he's only 14, but he's a big lump, and he's into competitive boxing, you know, maybe check his channel out, Joanne Boxing. He asked me to do a video on the early days of my life, which I will be doing, you know, from school days, and I'm still in contact with a lot of friends from school, you know, even though it was over 40 years ago. I still speak to everyone, you know, even though I don't live in Sutton, Carshalton, Wallington, Mitcham anymore. I still talk to people all the time, whether it be on Facebook or phone calls. And when I go and visit my family, I see people up in that manner all the time, you know. So yeah, so let's get on with the story then. Yeah, the story today, like I was saying, it's about back in the 90s. There was like an epidemic with burglary and stuff. You know, there was a lot of bad drug addicts at the time doing these sort of crimes. I was one of them. I was a prolific offender. And one policeman, Roy, his name was, I shouldn't really say second name, although he has done a book because he worked for Regional Crime Squad. He's worked for Burglary Squad in Epsom and Sutton. He used to work for the Handling Stolen Goods Squad. Plus he's worked for Anti-Terror and Royal Protection as well. So yeah, I think that was after my dealings with him. But yeah, he has written a book about his life, and I know it is on Amazon, and it's called Tell It How It Is. You know, that's a book about, I don't think I'm in it, but if you're watching, Roy, hello mate, yeah, don't know if you remember me, but you probably will. But yeah, Roy Probert his name was. So yeah, the reason I'm mentioning him today is because he did arrest me a few times, and like I say, on these videos you do get people saying, oh, they hate police and the police are bad and all this, but in my experience you've got good and bad in every walk of life, not just the police and screws prison officers. You know, there's good ones, there's bad ones, but let's have it right, guys. I mean, if your kid went missing, your daughter went missing, whatever, yeah, really bad subject, but who's the first people you're going to ring? Yeah, the police. Whether you're a criminal or not, you know, come on, we all have a need for the police in this country. You know, we couldn't really live properly without them, could we? So yeah, but yeah, so the police, yeah, this Roy Probert, the first time I came across him was back in the early 90s, in Epsom police station it was, and the reason I remember him is because I was arrested for something, and I think it was burglary. And, you know, you don't usually get bail for an offence like that. It's a pretty serious offence, and it's usually always a custodial sentence, especially if it's a dwelling offence. And I was arrested on burglary times four different burglaries, and he was the arresting officer. And you know, I was been in the police station overnight, you know, doing interviews and stuff, and I was having really bad withdrawal, and all I wanted was to get out of the police station and go and score some heroin, you know, to get my next bit of gear, to get a fix, to get myself well. And he knew this, and he said to me, look, I said to him, come on, what about a bit of bail? And he was like, well, what are you going to give me? And he didn't mean like in information wise, because he knew I don't give information on other people, let alone, you know, anyone I know. That's just not me, and he wouldn't have asked that. But he said to me, look, if you give me some TICs, do some clear ups, well, I will see if I can get you out on bail. It won't be in the next hour or two, but it will probably be over the next 12 hours or so, when the duty sergeant changes to a sergeant that he was very friendly with. And he said, when he comes on to his shift, I can probably get you bailed out then. So yeah, I gave him a few clear ups of offences I'd committed, and give him these things are called TICs, taken into consideration. So when it goes to court, those offences go up on your sheet in front of the judge, sees them, but it's almost seen as you've cooperated, you've cleared up these offences, you've admitted to them, and it clears up the police's books, you know, the crime rate they've been admitted to, but it won't go against you in court. That's how it worked. You know, if anything, it shows you cooperated and it will go in your favour. And obviously you're not grassing anyone up, you're only grassing yourself up because you're talking about yourself. So yeah. So that was when I first met him in Epsom Police Station, and yeah, I did get bail on 4 burglaries. And you know, people round that manor, they can be a bit catty. Some of them were saying, oh, how did you get bail on 4 burglaries and all this stuff? And I'd say, well, I just did, you know. And they try and call you a grass and all that sort of stuff, you know, which isn't true, obviously. You know, the only person I've ever grassed is myself. So let's get on with the story. Yeah, so that was how I met him originally. And he did end up arresting me a few times over the next few years. I think he arrested me for, they done a stakeout on a jewellery shop, a well-known jewellery shop, well-known Tom shop there at Amen Corner in Tooting, where I used to go to sell my gold, my Tom. And yeah, I know that place well. I don't know if it's still there. At shop in Tooting, yeah, I did get arrested there. They staked out the place, and I was arrested outside. I didn't get arrested for burglary. He arrested me for handling stolen goods that time, and I did get bail from Wimbledon Police Station. But this time, yeah, it was another time, but I can't remember exactly what time it was. Whether it was because on one time that he nicked me, I got 3 years. And I was sent to Highdown Prison for 3 years. But another time, I got a DTTO, a drug treatment and testing order, and went to a rehab in Norwich. So I'm not sure which time this incident was when I tried to escape, but it was one of those 2 times, possibly maybe 96, 97, I'm not sure what year it was. But by this time, you know, like I say, Probert had nicked me a few times, you know, and I think he might have been working for the Regional Crime Squad. But like I say, I'm not sure. It was a long time ago. So yeah. So basically, yeah, I was on remand for burglary, a Highdown prison, and I was getting some visits. I was called out for a legal visit, and it was Probert, you know. He'd come to see me saying, right, you've just been sentenced, blah, blah, blah. Did you want to go for a day out and do some TICs, you know, clear up some old offences, and, you know, you'll get a day out, Sean, and, you know, it'd get you out of the prison for the morning or whatever for a few hours. How do you feel about that? And I said to him, do you know what? Yeah, why not? It'd get me out off the wing for the day, won't it? You know, because at the time, I think I've been away maybe 6-7 months, you know, I hadn't been allocated yet or had my category. I think I was still a B category at that time. I did get a C category and went to Downview eventually, but like I say, at this time, I was still on, still using gear in there, even though I'd been in there for a few months. I'd done the main heroin withdrawal when I'd come in off the street, but obviously I'd drawn it out for ages. I was still using, maybe not every day, but I was still waking up. I was sleeping by this time, but I was still waking up wanting gear and thinking about gear all the time. And also I was always running about trying to get diazepam, Valium tablets off other cons, or trying to get them off the doctor, and other meds off the doctor for pain and all that sort of stuff. I think it was Dr. Williams back then in Highdown. She was a good doctor. But yeah, so I'd had this legal visit, and like I say, he did ask me, like I said earlier, I wasn't a grass. I never told him any information. The only information I'd given Probert was about myself. And he did ask me once, he asked if I could tell him anything about somebody I knew called Tony. And I said, you got to be fucking joking, mate. That's a good friend of mine. I ain't telling you nothing about him, and I don't know nothing anyway. You know, and that was left at that. That's the only time he ever asked me anything about, you know, about other people. But like I say, I agreed to this day out, and I went back to the wing, and, you know, and then a few weeks later or whatever, the screws come to the cell in the morning, early morning when the courts go out, and said, right, you're going out on your day out with the Met. So basically, you know, I would have gone through reception just the same as if I was going to court or going out to prison first thing in the morning. You know, I would have gone through reception and that. Obviously, I would have left all my stuff in the cell because I would have been coming back, you know, and then I would have gone down to reception. I would have gone through that routine, you know. It would have been, you'll be back later and blah, blah, blah. I would have gone out. And then before I got into their car, the police were there at the back gate at reception at the, you know, where you're inside the prison. They've driven their car right through the prison doors to the reception area. And then obviously they put these cuffs on me. They're like these block cuffs. I don't know if you've ever remember them. They're like a big block of plastic. And obviously your hands are like that. And they was at the front. So, you know, the cuffs were like that there. It was like a block. So they've done them up, you know, and they're quite tight, them things, you know, and they're meant to be pretty, you know, hard to get out of, obviously. But like I say, I'm not claiming to be some sort of Houdini, but we're going to this in a minute. Sorry, bloody hell, this story's been going for 16 minutes already. Yeah, I can waffle, can't I, guys? But, yeah. So like I say, we're at reception. I'm going out of the prison for the day with these two coppers. One is Roy Probert from, I think it's Regional Crime Squad, and his little mate with a moustache. I can't remember the other guy's name, so there's two of them, you know. At that time was a B category, and I haven't seen my security file closely. I would like to see that, my prison file, but I was known, I've been in trouble a lot and done a lot of time in the block in Belmarsh and High Down, and my security file's pretty bad in prison, but it is a two-man escort, what it was then, and because I was known for concealing weapons and stuff, you know, so obviously there's two coppers there. I can't just go out with one and I'm cuffed up and all that, you know. But what you've got to remember is I've got into the car, they put me into the back of the car. I think it was like a little Vauxhall Astra, and I was sitting at the back at the passenger side, and then this other guy, Probert, was in front of me in this Vauxhall Astra. I think it was a blue Astra, unmarked car, and then the other copper was driving, the short guy, can't remember his name, with the moustache, black hair and moustache. So yeah, so basically we're just chatting away. We've gone out through the gate, you know, at the prison and that, out into the car park area, the visitor centre at High Down, and then basically it's a bit of idle chit chat, you know, what's the weather like and how you doing and all that. So as soon as we got out of prison and off the prison grounds at the top of Belmont there, we've stopped and they said, yeah, we want to get a couple of things straight. Is basically you can't talk to no one. We're not going to be speaking to anyone outside of the car, and you know, you can't meet anyone, blah, blah, blah. Let's just get all that straight. You can't make no phone calls and all that. And but they said, what we will do for you, Sean, we've got you this for you, and they gave me a tin of Stella, and it was one of those big cans of Stella, and that was nice drinking that. You know, it's quite awkward with the cuffs on, but you know, I managed to open it myself and drink the beer. Was like that, you know, drinking the tin of Stella in the car, and I didn't have any breakfast, so it was an empty stomach, so I did feel a little bit, not tipsy, but you know, what you got to remember is I wasn't a big drinker before I went away. Not yet, anyway, and you know, I think I felt that tin of Stella. That would have been the first time I had proper alcohol, although I did have hooch in there, you know, down. The first time I had a proper drink for months and months. So yeah, I think I did feel that that tin of beer on an empty stomach, you know. So maybe it affected my judgment. I don't know, you know, because before this I wasn't thinking about escaping. My idea was just to get out there and see what happens, you know, and I had to keep this really quiet anyway, you know, because I didn't want to say to the wrong inmate, you know, about my plans, and then they'd grass me up to a screw, and then they'd put a stop to it and all that. You know, I didn't want to end up in patches and all that before I'd even gone out of the prison. So yeah, like I say, we're at the top of Sutton, and I'm drinking my beer and that, and Probert's explained to me what the day's about, and he's saying basically, you know, we want to go drive around the areas in Surrey, you know, we'd be going around the posh areas of Surrey, up Kingswood, around that way, you know, nice parts of Banstead, you know, sadly places I used to go, you know, to do bits of graft and that, you know, and I just want to say, you know, all those bits of work I've done, you know, that was all like 30 years ago now, or 25 years ago, you know, and you know, of course it's a bad business and a bad thing, you know, but like I say, I was in the grip of a really bad addiction at the time, you know, even though that's no excuse, you know, it's the worst offence there is, rooting around in somebody else's property and that, it's not nice, you know. You know, not that I used to do that. The main thing I used to be looking for when I used to do that was gold and valuable items of jewellery, really, you know. I didn't used to touch electrical equipment and stuff like that, you know, cash and jewels, and that was it with me, you know, and then I'd be off, you know. But yeah, like I say, horrible offence. So they were asking me, they have a big list, you know, pages and pages, a list of all the burglaries that have been committed and that they haven't been done and that. So they're asking me, we're driving around Surrey, and they're saying to me, what about that one and that one? And there was a couple that said, yeah, I have been in that one, I've been in that one, blah, blah, blah. And I remember with these TICs, when I said, I think I've done that one, but I can't remember, they said, no, you, whether you did or you didn't, it doesn't matter, because that one's been cleared up by somebody else. You know, I know that's mad, but that's how it was done then. So basically we're doing this, and I think I've done a couple clear ups, and like I say, there was one I'd done, I can't say where it is for legal reasons, and when I got in there I found some photographs that were really bad. I did find some Tom and that, but there was some dodgy photographs in there of a young boy with an adult, and the boy looked like a bit young to me, you know, not a toddler or anything, you know. So yeah, so first of all I mentioned this about this one, and saying it was a strange one. The person used to leave little notes in there saying, if you're looking for something, there's nothing here and stuff like that. And I did mention that to them, you know, because what you got to remember is, if it's a sex offence that someone's done, or, you know, a really bad offence against a woman or child, that's not grassing, is it? You know, giving information on that, you know, that's just human nature. That's just the right thing to do, you know, because sex offenders, they're not part of the criminal fraternity. They're just scum. So, you know, no two ways about that. You know, that's the first thing I told them, you know. So I don't know what happened about that. But like I say, I cleared up a couple that I'd done, and the morning's going well, and all, you know, before I know it, it's sort of lunchtime. And then we've come back round wherever we were, driving back from Banstead into Sutton in this little blue Astra. And Probert said to the other one, oh, where should we go for a bit of lunch then? And they said to me, well, do I fancy? And I said, oh, I'm not fussy, you know, you guys choose. And they said, oh, I'll tell you what, we don't want to go somewhere too busy. We want to go somewhere where, you know, because I can't go in. They're saying, whatever happens, you won't be going into the restaurant. Blah blah blah. And I said, yeah, well, I know that. And they said, all right, we go down the bottom of Sutton to the Burger King, because years ago down the bottom of Sutton, opposite, next, adjacent to the old DHSS building, the Dole office, Sentinel House, there used to be a Burger King next door to it, and it was a drive-through, you know, down there at the bottom of Sutton, by Sutton Green, just round the corner from Sutton Bus Garage. So basically, come lunchtime, we've driven down to there, and they've said to me, you know, we're having there, you know, I finished my drink by this time, you know, I've been drinking it like that, in these handcuffs, this tin of Stella, you know, and he said, Probert said, right, we're going to stop here, as you know, you can't get out of the car, and obviously he's standing in the car with you, this other copper. Well, Probert is going to get out of the car to go and order the whatever they're having, the other copper and him and what I'm having. And he asked me what I wanted, and I said, well, I'll have a Whopper meal, burger and fries, and I think it was either a Coke or a milkshake. I can't remember rightly, and I was really looking forward to it actually, because I was very hungry. And Burger King compared to prison food, I know what I would choose. Whether it be a Burger King burger or a manky old bit of chicken that looks like an old roast pigeon, one of them skinny scabby pigeons from London, that's what your Sunday roast chicken looks like, so yeah, it's making my white mouth water, the thought of that. So he's got the order in his head, Probert has, and I'm in the back seat of the car in the cuffs, and the other one's sitting there, and he's about to get out of the car. But what's going through my head, what I realise is I've got my jacket there on my lap, and I've got these cuffs here. But what I forgot to mention earlier, when I was going outside the prison and getting first into the car, and they put the block cuffs on, I said to them, God, that's tight, and I was sort of rubbing my wrist on it. This was at the start of the day, making out it seemed tighter than it was, and they loosened the cuffs off a little bit, that was one of the first things I did. But now this is like an hour or so later than that, and we're at the Burger King, and I've realised during this journey, because I was quite sneaky back then, I've realised that I could probably get my hand with my thumb like that and my hands like that, I could probably slip my hand through this cuff. Yeah. So what I was doing, sort of under the jacket, while they weren't looking, I was feeling if I could get my hand through this cuff. Only one of them, mind you, and I was pretty confident that I would. So I knew that I could get that out of there easily. But the other thing I had to contend with was the child locks were wrong, and I was looking at that, and there was no way out that I could open the door, because the back doors were locked from the front of the car, and you can't undo them, not from the outside, not from the inside. They have to be done by the driver or someone sitting at the front of the car, and there's no way I could reach through. That would have been on top. So basically, it was sort of summer, I think, and I was winding down the window a bit at a time, saying, it's hot in here, with the cuffs on, so they could see that. So I had been winding down the window, for a reason. So basically, yeah, so Probert's took the order, and he's gone into Burger King, left me in the back of the Vauxhall Astra in the car park in Burger King in Sutton. I was a serving prisoner. I think I was doing 3 years, and he's left me there with the driver. He's sitting there, minding his own business, whatever. He's just sitting there waiting for his food, So basically, yeah, I was saying, yeah, it's warm today, and I've wound the window down even more, and I'm thinking, I can't see in there properly to see where he is in the queue. I've just got to judge it by how long I think it takes him to order the food. That's for 3 people's burgers, and then wait for that to be dished up, and then get the food, and then walk a few yards out of the Burger King back to the car. I've got to time this right. I've got to time it so it's done when he's in the shop. And I realise where we are now, if I can get out of this car, yeah, there's a fence here between the Burger King and the Dole office place, Sentinel House, and if I can jump over that fence, I know where I am. I think it's Oak Hill Road behind. I can go over a few gardens and get onto an estate. I know Ben Hill Estate, and then there's no way. Once I'm on there, they ain't catching me, I used to do it all the time, get chased by the police in Sutton and run all the way down the High Street or Froley Way onto Ben Hill Estate and then lose them. Once you're on that estate, mate, if you know the estate, that there's no chance they'd catch me, So that was the plan, was to just get out of the car and then bolt over the fence and leg it, basically. And where was I thinking of legging it to? To the heroin dealer, really, to go and get a hit, because I still felt like I was in having a bit of withdrawal still, even though I'd been in the prison for a few months. And the reason I still felt like I was having withdrawal is because when I got into the prison and done the detox initially, I didn't stop using illicit heroin in there. I prolonged it, you know, by using the heroin every day or every other day or once every 3 days, and just prolonging that withdrawal on and on and on. You know, the best way is to just get it over with in the first month, you know, get it all out your system, get it all done, and then leave it completely, not to keep going back to it, because it just sets you back over and over again, and you end up just doing more and more withdrawal. So like I say, that was the reason why I wanted to escape, basically, because I was withdrawing and I wanted to get well. So yeah, so I'm in the car, Probert's in the Burger King getting the order, the other coppers behind the wheel doing whatever, and I'm at the back, and I have now got my hand out of the cuffs. I have wound the window down in the car, so the window is there, because I know the only way I can get out there, I can't put my hand out and try and open the door. That doesn't work in those, the way these door locks are on those police cars. So basically what I've got to do now is I've got to jump from the back seat out of the car window, the Vauxhall Astra window, and go. So basically I've picked my moment, my hand's out of the cuffs on one, but it's covered by my jacket, and then he's looking out the windscreen at the driver's part of the car. Probert's in there, and then boom, I've flown straight out the window, you know. But basically I'm nearly out the whole way, you know, climbing out of this car window, you know, but basically I felt something pulling me back in, and it was the other copper. He had hold of my ankles, and he's throwing himself on me, and he's sort of like banging me in the kidneys a couple of times. And I will say this, those kidney punches, they didn't really hurt, you know, it was only sort of light. He was just trying to stop me from escaping, really, but I didn't feel them anyway. So at this point, Probert's come out of the Burger King. It was like something out of an Ealing comedy. All the food's gone everywhere, all the milkshakes and Coca-Colas, all the burgers, all that's gone flying. Because he's seen me jumping out the car window, and he's just let the lunch go. So yeah, we didn't get any lunch, sadly. And yeah, that's gone everywhere. And he's come up to the car, and he's pushing me back in and all that. And then basically they bent me up in the back of the car, recuffed me up again really tight, obviously this time. And then it's all like, after that it was all a bit like silent for a minute. Oh Jesus, we're half an hour in, yeah. So after that it was all a bit silent for a bit. And what happened next was, you know, they were pretty angry over this, not just because they missed their Burger King and, you know, their lunch, and they were hungry, but angry because obviously they felt that I breached their trust and stuff like that, you know. But, you know, who in their right mind wouldn't take an opportunity like that? Like I say,